Okay, we are live. I want to welcome everyone, whether you're viewing at your home, at your office, or here live with me today. I'm Lynn Hamilton, the lead instructor here at Sampson Properties, and today we're going to get into a class on recession-proof marketing. So we're going to get down in the dirty, into the dirt and the weeds on this, but let me start with a quick introduction. A couple of you have asked kind of what my background was. So I've been in this industry since 2003. Came in with about 20 years of sales and marketing. Yes, it was right out of kindergarten. Just kidding. But loved this sales and marketing, got into this industry, worked for an agent that was one of the co-owners of the particular office that I was at in San Diego. Went got my license, had a very successful and blessed career. So what I have taken is when I started teaching classes, I did that for a couple of years, and I was asked to take on the role as the Director of Career Development, Agent Training, Mentoring, and Coaching for what became the largest KW office in San Diego. And with that, several hundred agents got to go through my hands in guiding them and directing them. What I found out of frustration and desperation, I was finding the same mistakes being repeated over and over and over again. So finally I stepped back and said, time out, we're going to stop. And I took everything that I knew, mapped it out, spread it out on a big table, and put it together methodically in order. I used to say that most brokerages train their agents like sending a bunch of kids to a Las Vegas style buffet. You don't know where to start. And if you've ever been to Las Vegas, in fact there was somebody here earlier that was going, they're huge. You could live in a Las Vegas style buffet for a week and nobody would know you're still there, and just run from station to station to station to station and not know. That is how most real estate agents have been trained over the years. So this is a great class, 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 but then you're sitting there going, but what do I do with it now? So my whole philosophy and approach is, we're going to stop, you're going to trust me, I hope. We've mapped it out already methodically for you, and this is why we call it the real estate missing piece, because we've put it together like it's a puzzle. So we walk you through methodically. So after I served as the Director of Career Development for that company for about 6 or 7 years, I was later asked to take on a role as Director of Operations for a large company. It was real estate based that did training throughout the state of California. So I got into every office, every brokerage, large, small, good, bad, and the ugly that was out there. And I got to travel the state and train several more thousand agents in various topics and techniques. So I was also a seminar speaker when we would do our seminars. So that is kind of what my background is. So thus far, I think I recalculated, I'm up to about 4,000 agents that I've helped educate and train. So I've learned a thing or two along that journey. I found out where the common mistakes are. I found out what works and what doesn't work. So I have been blessed that I have been trained, coached over the years with some of the best in the industry, some of the absolute best from not only just the sales and marketing side, but into real estate as well. And my frustration became, again, seeing agents running around like chickens with their head cut off, not knowing what classes to go to, and then what to do with what they learned, let alone not knowing how to put it with this concept and this concept of where it all came in and how it connected. And I would see good people go out the back door of a brokerage because they just were frustrated, confused, and they weren't making it. So that is where I kind of stop, put on the brakes, have Jumpstart, which is what is unique now to Sampson. If you have not participated in any of the Jumpstart programs, I would absolutely encourage you to do so. Jumpstart is 4 sessions. It is designed to be taken in order. We talked about the puzzle pieces. Yes, I usually throw puzzle pieces around the room, but it is designed to map out the edges of your puzzle, the foundation of your business, and start building in. Stuff that we covered in session 1, it was a technique I showed you how to do your big why, but then how to do it with a client. That is going to come into play when we do the buyer and seller consultation. So if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to do it over here. So that is why I encourage you to work with me, guide, go along with me, and let me help you put your real estate business together in order and methodically and in the right order at the right time. So this class today that we're going to be talking about is, let me go ahead and pull it off and do the full screen. There we go. Boom, there we are. Okay, so this class today is not for the faint at heart. It is not for the ones that just kind of want to fly by the seat of their pants, because it is going to get into some nitty-gritty. So let's go ahead and get started. If you are watching online and do not have the handout, go to the nest, go to your resources, and you should be able to find the handout attached in there. If you're here in class, hopefully you all have one. And if not, we'll make sure we get a couple more ran real quick. So we've got some up here. Katie, if we need an extra one.
Do we need one?
Oh, okay. No, we got it. Okay, good. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
If we missed 1 and 2, when
There. Okay, so good question. If you've missed 1 or 2, they are in the Cardinal Nest. There's a link in there that you can get them. Next Tuesday, we're going to do session 3, and then the following week we'll do session 4. So you can go back and catch 1 and 2. What they have done for us is they've left them up on the nest so you can watch them repeatedly, because here's how our brain works in education. And yes, I was in the education field for a few years. We need to hear things 3 to 5 times before it all sinks in. You're at a different place in your career, you're at a different place in putting things together. So it is very common that you're going to need to see things or hear things 3 to 5 times. So I am thrilled that Cardinal has sponsoring all this, but that Samson has the ability to put it up on the Cardinal Nest for you guys. So you can retrieve them and go back and listen to them and watch them again. So again, 1 and 2 are already up. 3 gets into the database, 4 gets into the marketing pillars of your business, and those are action-packed. Okay? All right, so that is where you can get your information. If you are viewing online, we want to make sure you go ahead and get that printed out. All right, so obviously I want to thank Cardinal Title. They are the ones that sponsor all my classes. So if you have found any value whatsoever from anything that I've taught, I would ask you to thank Cardinal Title. And the next time you have the opportunity to use them, please give them a shot if you haven't tried them already. They are phenomenal. I've been snooping around behind the scenes. They are amazing. They are impressive. And I've been around this industry for a while, and they are truly committed at making sure that the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. If there's a hiccup, identify what it is, and then they ask themselves behind the scenes, was it us? Was it the agent? Was it the other side? How do we fix this to make it run smoother and better the next time? So again, just we'll keep that between us. But Cardinal is impressive, so I want to thank them. All right, so here's a couple of suggestions. What I'm going to ask you to do is the front page of each of your handouts is going to look kind of like an agenda. It is done that way intentionally so that as you go through and you need to check off the tasks, you can get that done. I would also ask you to go ahead and 3-hole punch them and put them in a 3-ring binder. Create yourself a little 1/2 inch or 1 inch, however you want to go, binder. You are going to be building out and creating your own instruction training manual. So if you're going to be meeting with one of your managers, your coaches, myself, anybody, I'm going to ask you to bring your manual with you, and we can take a look at what you've gotten done versus what you haven't gotten done, and it'll maximize the effectiveness of our time together, okay? So that's what I'm going to ask. Now, what I've done for ease of everybody, at the bottom of each screen where the little red arrow is, you'll find a page number. I have connected them to the page numbers that are on the handouts as well. So if by chance, if you're watching this live and you need to step out for a second, come back in and you're wondering where we've left off at, there you go. You'll know where we're at. All right? So those are the basic suggestions. So here's a couple class rules for everybody. They're all going, uh-oh, what? All right. So first off, make sure your phones are off or on silent for me, and also for everyone else. I want you to be open to some new ideas, because a lot of you, what I'm going to share with you today, you may have never heard before. So I'm going to hope that you will be open to some new ideas. I always like to ask, may I have your permission to be blunt and honest with you? Tell you what you need to know and not always what you want to hear? I'm getting head nod all over. Excellent. Very good. Whew, if not, I'm in trouble. All right. So I'm going to also ask you to hear my heart and forgive my mouth. There are a few things that I am very, very passionate about, and usually I can catch myself and give you a warning that it's coming, and I'll give you a reminder that you gave me permission to be blunt and honest, and ready or not, here it comes. But just know it comes from the heart on that one, and I'll usually remind you of that. You do need to laugh at my stupid jokes. Good call. There you go. You're right on cue. But I want you to learn something new. This was one of the areas that I was so frustrated with when I was working with agents or watching agents, is they would go to every class that was out there, and you would ask them afterwards, so what was your aha, what was your takeaway? And they go, oh my gosh, there was just so much, I just don't even know. Then you'd see them a month later, ask them what was their aha takeaway. Oh my gosh, there was just so much, I just haven't pinpointed anything yet. 3 months later, it's still the same. 6 months later, it's still the same. A year, it's still the same. And their business is in the tank just like it was a year ago. So if you're going to go to stuff, stop at the end, and we do it in class. What is your aha? What was your takeaway? What is the one thing that you can take out of this class and implement? Because I'll tell you what, I don't care if it's my class, Donnie's, the attorneys doing their contracts classes, any of it. None of it is no good whatsoever until you decide to put something into action on it, okay? So through Jumpstart, you're also going to get about 60 tips and ideas to better build a solid foundation for your business. So there's lots of ahas, there's lots of takeaways, and even from this as well. So again, implement what you've learned. So those are kind of the class rules, and let's move on. So we always like to start with, each of my classes, there is a word of wisdom. So this one is talking about recession-proofing your marketing. The question is, does the market change? Yes or no? Shout it out. Yep. Yes, it does. Can we control the changes? No, we cannot. But can we adjust ourselves to still take full advantage of that market? Yep. Yes, excellent. Okay, so how many of you were around 10 years ago when the market just went pshkoon, and then the market did the crash? Who remembers the crash? You couldn't have called me and told me the market crashed? Girl, come on, I thought you were my buddy. Okay? Nobody told me the market nosedived. Now, yeah, I saw things changing, but my business just kept right on going. I did not feel and see and experience the crash like everybody else did. So I do like to tease you, why didn't you call me and tell me? But here's why. And again, I will give credit where credit is due if I remember who I learned a particular technique from. Todd Bates, who has since passed away, made me sad, but he taught me this several years ago, and that was my aha from his class. Understanding the market changes. We can't control the change, but we can adjust to the change. And with that, we're going to talk about recession-proof marketing. So, what is recession-proof marketing? Well, that's pretty straightforward. It is identifying the 3, 4, or 5 pillars, Session 4 Jumpstart, by the way, that are in your business, in your marketing department, that will allow you to adjust and keep going with whatever the market is doing. So that is what recession-proof marketing is. It is, simply put, having a marketing system in place that will adjust. So what are the 5 things that happens in a person's life that changes the need? I didn't say want, that changes the need for where they're going to live. Let's go through them. A new job or career path, okay, that's going to, I don't care what the market's doing, it's going to change the need for where they live, correct? Yes, okay. The second one, family status, either getting married, getting, a growing family, taking in the seniors, empty nesters. That changes the need for the house, correct? All right. Getting a divorce. Does that change the need for where you're going to live? Okay. I remember back when the market was nosediving back then, there were a few families that had gotten a divorce. They divided the house in half. You got that half, you got that half, and the kitchen was neutral territory, and they had schedules of who got to use the kitchen when. It was not the ideal, but they had no choice. Does a job retirement potentially relocate you and changes the need for where you live? Correct, all right? And dying. Does that change the need for where you're going to be? Okay, I hope so, because I'm not planning on having them put me in the backyard. I'm just saying. So, all right, so with that, do those things that we just talked about, do they happen every day? Yes, they do. Do they happen every week? Yes, they do. Do they happen every month? Yes, they do. And do they happen every year? Yes, they do. Year after year after year, all happening regardless of what the interest rates are, what the world economy is, what's going on around town. Those things happen nonstop, correct? Yes. Correct, all right, awesome. You guys have all the right answers. So here is what is the recommendation. And again, hopefully, if you haven't, you'll go back and go through Jumpstart. Jumpstart Session 4, we talk about the 4 pillars that need to be your marketing department. You can call them pillars, you can call them tires, you can call them whatever. So let's pretend we're going to call them tires. So Katie, let me ask you a question. How many tires do you have on your car? You got 4. Good thing she didn't tell me it was an 18-wheeler. So you got 4. Why is 4 the magic number? Balance and stability. So if you think about the marketing department of your business and having 4 tires on it, you've got balance and stability. Now, if one of those tires, one of those pillars, one of those marketing like short sales you were doing start to deflate and go away, you know that you can identify that that's coming, you can adjust and put another pillar up, another tire in there, okay? So if I'm going to ask her if you want, I'm going to go out and pop one of your tires, front, back, right, or left, which I'm not going to do. Wait a minute. Ahmed, I would do yours because you're not here today. I'm just saying, but I know you're online, so I'll let you off the hook. Love you. Okay. So if I was to go out and pop a tire, front, back, right, or left, which one do you want me to pop? None of them, because a flat's a flat. Now, can you get to where you're going with a flat tire? Okay, I'm going to say kind of. You asked my dad, when we were all learning to drive, if we had a flat tire, we were to get off the road and get to someplace safe. And his general rule was, even if you ruin the rim, I can replace the rim, okay, and the tire with it. So can you get to where you're going with a flat tire? I'm going to say yeah, but you're going to go real slow and do some damage. So by having that concept in your mind that you want to eventually build out, number 1 is always your database. We talk in session 4 about the other 5 types of buyers, 6 types of sellers, and 13 other marketing options. There you go. That's why you need to go through Jumpstart. We'll identify and get them built out. This is actually one of them. You do not want to put all your eggs in one basket. I'm going to step on some toes. So remember, y'all gave me permission to be blunt and honest with you? Yep. Tell you what you needed to hear, not always what you want to hear. And to hear my heart. All right, because here it comes. I know there's a lot of agents that have spent the last several years buying leads from Zillow, Realtor, whatever, whomever out there. For a long time, they did really well. Is that changing? Yes, it is. You're not getting leads anymore. You're getting inquiries from a drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning that just clicked on it because they thought it was a cute house. So that is no longer, in my opinion, a solid one, putting all your eggs in one basket, okay? Because I know a lot of agents that done it, and now they're tied up in this contract that's costing them hundreds, if not thousands a month, and they're not getting diddly squat out of it. So crack those eggs and get rid of them. So we're going to talk about how to put in place a couple of things that are what I labeled as recession proof. And when I learned this from Todd and when I did it, that is why I never felt the hit and the crunch of the market when it shifted all those years ago. All right? I remember I would go to the office and agents would say, oh my God, they would give anything for a transaction. I was like, oh my God, I just wanted a day off. I had more money in my bank account than I knew what to do with. Wait a minute, I had a daughter in college. That answered that one real quick. I used to say she was cheaper than bail, and people that knew me and her thought it was hysterical. And then it was like, well, got into the master's program, and we had some research trips to do. Debatable, but it was still a good investment. But that is what helped kept me afloat during that time. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. All right, there we got that. That's Marketing 101. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about dealing with estates of people who have passed and divorces. This is where I say you better have a backbone, because we're going to share some really ugly stories. This is not about how to do the contract. This is not how to, do some other stuff within it, but it's how to get tapped into that avenue where you can get the drip of those that need your product or service. So we always like to say, be the young cola. Think outside the box. It is okay, as long as it is legal, ethical, and moral, you can think outside the box. Usually I would ask somebody, especially if I had a whiteboard, who wanted to play tic-tac-toe with me, and guess what? I was always going to win, because I'm going to go outside the box. I am going to think outside the box and win. Again, legal, ethical, moral, you're okay. 7-Up, just in case you didn't know this, and I looked it up, I Googled it. 1967, when they did a relaunch, the market was already saturated with carbonated cold, caramel-covered beverages. They didn't need another one. So they rebranded as the Uncola. Because everyone was referring to colas at the time, they became the Uncola. Brilliant marketing campaign. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to think about being the Uncola. We're going to start calling this, I think, the Samson Shift. My personal mission is to help all of you do something that's unique and different, the Samson Shift, that other agents in other brokerages, wait a minute, hear my heart, forgive my mouth because it's going to come again, are too lazy to learn and to do. Okay? I know I stepped on toes, but you said it was okay. So, but there is. The market is inundated. There's other agents out there. What are you doing that's going to allow you to be unique, different, actually have a value proposition to come and present to someone? And I'm going to walk you through it with this one. So you ready? Yep. Good answer. All right, so jumping right into the next component, we're going to talk about the first step in dealing with people that have passed away, and you're dealing with the estate. So I got my little handout here to keep me on track with you guys as well. We're on page 3 of the handouts if you're online with us and wanting to take a peek and travel along. This comes in, obviously, when there has been a death, and here is a great way to prep this. Here is where your uniqueness is going to be. You are going to put together a mini book, and I'm going to show you how to do it. But here's also how to get the information. So you're going to start with reaching out to your sphere of influence, people that you know, friends, family, and if they don't know you're in real estate, oh look, this is a great time to let them know. With, hey, it's Lynn, your favorite realtor. I'm working on a project, and I need your help. If that doesn't flow out of your mouth, hopefully you'll incorporate that, and it will. What you're going to do is share with them that one of your niches, however it's said correctly, depending which accent you have, is to help people with liquidating. Katie, is there another? They're making copies? Okay. Okay. We'll get you one in a second, okay? So you're letting the people that you know that in your real estate business, one of your specialties is to help with estate liquidation after a loss, okay? And I've got this bullet pointed out, so you just got to follow along. You're working on a project with a few attorneys, and you need their help. So the key question is, and they may actually speak up and tell you that they've got a cousin or an aunt or an uncle or somebody that's an attorney, okay? You obviously can tap into that one, but here's what you're going to ask your sphere of influence. If you have ever needed to clear out someone's estate, where did Grandma hide it? Where did Grandpa hide it? Where was something found that you guys went, who knew that was tucked away there? And so you're wanting to get feedback from them. Now, I will tell you a little secret. Shortly, I will have an extended version of this because I partnered with a Girl Scout troop who was working on a merit badge. And they took this and went to people that they knew, asked the question, where did Grandma or Grandpa hide it? And they've got it compiled for me. I'm going to help them publish it in a mini book, but I've also got permission to share it and pass it on with you guys. So there you have it. All right. That's not public knowledge yet. All right. So you're going to be asking them, if you've ever had to clean out somebody's estate, where did you find something that was hidden? Now, has anybody here ever had to do that? Clean out someone's estate? Oh, dear. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you know you got to be looking for stuff because they're going to hide stuff here, there, and everywhere. So personally and professionally, I've done this too many times, and boy, do I got stories to tell. Oh, yeah, that comes at the end of the section. Good stuff. All right, so you're going to tell me that you found money that was wrapped up in the freezer. You're going to tell me you found whatever it was, in the toolbox. You're going to tell me you found something in a closet. You're going to find something in a cabinet, underneath the dresser, underneath where the drawers go. You're going to pull the drawers out, lift the lining out, and there's going to be stuff under there. Whether it's money, whether it's keys, whether it's documents for money that nobody knew they had. Whew, okay, it's out there. So I've given you an example. Let me see if I need to flip over my screens or not. So you're going to start developing this with your sphere of influence. Where did they hide it? Where did they hide it? Where did they hide it? Now, the beauty of this is it gets them thinking. So if they themselves have never done it, they're going to think of all the people that they know who have. And you're going to say, you know what, go ahead and chat with them and then relay back to me where they found stuff hidden. Okay? So now I know my friend here in my database knows that I'm a real estate agent, in case he didn't know that. One of my niches is to work with those who are liquidating out an estate after a death, and I'm wanting to find out where grandma hid it. So he's going to be talking to his cousin, his uncle, Lynn, my realtor, is working on a project, and she's needing to know this, so have you ever had this happen? All of a sudden, it starts spreading out. What that's going to do down the road is the next time he knows someone who has passed and the estate needs to be liquidated down, I'm top of mind, all right? So we've got the conversation that would right there on the page for you on page 3. It would go something like, do you have a second to help me? I only need a minute or two. One of my niches is to work with estate liquidation after a loss. I'm currently working with a few attorneys to help their clients, to help them find the hidden gems left behind. I'm putting together a mini book and to help in those situations. We know that way too often people have left money, tucked gems away, and anything else. Where did they hide it? So I will pause here for a second and share one great little story with you. When I was doing this and getting the information from those that were in my database of where did grandma hide it, a good friend of mine that we've known each other since we were kids, she went to a family member and when they were having a barbecue, and it became their topic of conversation. Okay? So she gets the story fed back that I get fed back to me. Apparently, her friend's grandmother or mother was getting ill. Obviously, mentally, they oftentimes start declining. Often, medication that seniors are on will also send them into this mental decline as well. And there was an heirloom ring that had been in the family for generations. After mom died, nobody could find it. Okay? As a retirement gag gift for her dad, they had bought him the toilet paper with the crossword puzzle on it. Okay, so there was like 6 rolls in a box. So after dad passed and then after mom passed, they decided, and they were cleaning out, they decided as just kind of sentimental, they would keep one. She pulls it out and puts it in her little, memory, whatever, closet in the side. So several months, years later, a friend says, hey, I'm wanting that gag gift for a friend of mine with the crossword puzzles by any chance. Do you still have those rolls? And she said, no, I've got one, but I'll tell you what, I'll give it to you, because she couldn't find them anywhere. She gets it out, and what's in the middle of the roll, wrapped up in tissue, the grandmother's ring that had been the great-grandmother's. Apparently, it brought everybody to tears, but in her mom's mental decline, it came off, got wrapped in tissue, got stuck in the middle of that toilet paper roll with word search puzzle on it in the midst of this box of 6, and she kept one. What are the odds of that? Just know that that happens way too often. Way too often. So the stuff is out there. So when you're compiling this list, you're basically just getting the situation. You do not have to use their name. You can ask them, but you don't need to. You just need their permission. Can I go ahead and use this story with or without your name? And they'll tell you. Usually it's yes and absolutely. Because they're thinking if my story can help somebody else find something, it's all worth it. So oftentimes they will come back and share additional stories with you of where they have found stuff at. And that's just one of them. All right? So let's go on. What are the things that when you actually start working with someone to liquidate out an estate, what are the things that you need to be looking for? First off, any documents?
Will.
The will, okay. Any keys whatsoever to anything, anywhere. You absolutely want to put those keys aside because you don't know what they belong to. Medication. Now, there is a heavy theft and resale market on the streets of certain medications. And believe it or not, let me just interject here. I probably have it in here somewhere. Yes, I do. On page 4 of your handout. Medications, most of your pharmacies now have a drop box, like a shredder box. It's a drop box backed by the pharmacy where if you've got medications from someone that needs to be destroyed or that has passed, you can take it directly to the pharmacy and it goes right in the box. Okay? It's brilliant. Excellent. All right? Furniture. You need to look in, under, around, through, under drawer linings, under the dresser drawer itself, every nook, every cranny, every underneath, every hidden pocket. So I will tell you another fun story. Okay, so my daughter's a historian, has her master's degree in history, currently serves as the manager at the Mary Washington House in downtown Fredericksburg. So obviously we've made the rounds to all the museums down there. So James Monroe has his little presidential library down there. They have one of his desks. And what did they find several years ago? A hidden pocket in the desk that had document in it. Who knew? That thing had been around for years and nobody knew it was there. So yes, furniture will have stuff tucked away in it. Fire extinguishers. Okay, now this is a great one because, personal story here, I was helping a client liquidate. There were fire extinguishers all over. They were very old. You cannot throw them away. But, okay, what I did, which I'd recommend you do, you leave them where they're at the house. You stop into your local fire department. You make sure you're looking nice. You got your little name badge on, right shoulder, because that's when you shake. And you go and say, hey, my name is Lynn. I'm a realtor in town. I'm helping a client liquidate an estate. I have a crazy question of the day for you. What do I do with the old fire extinguishers? Now, they will usually, now they know who you are and what you're doing, and they'll go, okay, so bring them to us, and we'll dispose of them because actually they can refill them and use them for training purposes. So, but then they also told me, do not put them in your car. Put them in the trunk. Come from the house directly to here. Don't be running around town with them in there. Bring them to us. When we get here, come in. We're here 24/7. Unless the trucks are gone, then we're out. We will take them out of your trunk for you, and then we'll take care of disposing them. Okay. So I did that. Not once, but twice, because I only brought a few at a time in. And when I brought them in to say thank you to them, I had a little bowl of like Snack-'em candy, wrapped cookies and stuff, and a couple of my free newsletters in there, give them something to read while they were kicking back and waiting for the next alarm to go off. Yes, I ended up getting transaction out of them at one point. Okay, so jewelry. Jewelry is another thing you need to go through with a fine-tooth comb because is it real or is it not real? A lot of times costume jewelry is high-end costume jewelry or it's the real thing. And sometimes it's a diamond and sometimes it's a summer diamond. Do you know what the difference is? Because some are diamonds and some are not. And they laughed at my joke. I love it. I love it. But here's the thing. You don't know if it's real or if it's not. Sometimes a real will look like a really nice piece of costume jewelry. And sometimes a real nice piece of costume jewelry, you find out, oh, no, it is a high-end piece of jewelry. So we're going to talk about how we connect all these dots as well. Another one that you'll need to connect with is pawn shops. Because if you're helping a client liquidate out an estate and they've got tools or musical instruments or stuff that you're going, a pawn shop can help guide you. So when I was developing this out, I went to several pawn shops in my area, dressed up nice and pretty, name badge on, a couple of extra newsletters, and my card, and said, hey, I'm a local real estate agent. One of my specialties is helping people with estate liquidation. I just wanted to come in, introduce myself, find out what is your niche and specialty here. You can look and you can see what it is. You'll find some that was musical instruments, some that was tools, some that was jewelry, some that was other stuff. You're doing your research to figure out when the time comes, who do you go to? Who do you guide your client to? So do not overlook pawn shops as well. Now, local charities. Find out what the local charities are as well and what type of stuff they need or want. I know in some areas when I was doing this, there was a new veterans home that was being built. My dad was Navy, near and dear to my heart. So I contacted them and said, what are the things you're looking for? And they said, okay, on our website, we have a list, per house of what are the things we're looking for. And it was like, cool, got that, got that, got that, got that. Oh, we're good, okay? So you can just know what the local charities are, whether it's your homes for the disabled, special needs, even hospice, military, whatever it is in your area. It's a great opportunity for you to get to know the area charities as well. Okay? So is that making sense?
Yep.
All right. The other one you want to tap into is, and I have it written on here, didn't have it up on the slide, is auction houses. Is there someone in your neighborhood or in an area that does auctions? Because sometimes they will do estate liquidation stuff as well. Now, there's two sides to that. There is the vase that is $5, and there's the vase that's $500. We don't have the eye to know, but someone who is either in the auctions or in the pawn shops, they will often know what is the difference between one to the other. Excuse me. So step one was to get a hold of those in your sphere of influence. I'm working on a project. I need your help. Where did grandma, where did grandpa, where did somebody hide it? All right? So you're getting that information in. Well, that is coming in. You're going to start developing out. Let me go back a screen. There we go. I did it. Your resources of other businesses that can help you in the liquidation of stuff. Now, you physically may not be doing it yourself, obviously, but in a second, I'm going to show you how it links and how it connects those puzzle pieces. So those are the top 10 that come to mind. When I was working with clients that needed to liquidate out, I typically would bring them a box, and I put a bright neon-colored paper on it that says, documents to be shredded. Identity theft after a death is still sky high. And there is nothing worse than a family getting a call 5 years after a death looking for John because John's got, loans that hasn't paid on. Well, John's been dead for 5 years, but somebody got his information, opened up accounts, sat on them for a little while, made small purchases, made small payments, and then ran them up the wazoo and bailed. Well, it goes back to the family, because oftentimes that person was smart enough to know who the family was. So documents that are in the house should never be thrown in the trash. Anything with anything on it obviously needs to go through a shredder. Now, there's a lot of shredding companies around. Know who they are, especially for your area. I know we've got a large footprint of various areas and various states, but know who they are so that you can guide and you can help. And I would often come with a box or two with the big neon sign taped on it, documents to be shredded. So after they were looked at and checked, and it was known that there was nothing that the attorney or the family needed to do with them, it could go in that box. Now, that cost you maybe $2, but what a wow, if you will, to the family who's going, where in the hell do I start with all this? So that's always just a nice little bonus. Okay. So you now have your sphere of influence, getting you the information. You are developing out your resources of who to go to and who to turn to. And then you're going to go ahead and start putting together your little resource book. So you've got all this information from your various vendors, and you can take their friggin' business card, because you can put it on a piece of paper, photocopy it, and then when you fold it over, it creates this little mini book. The same thing with Where Did Grandma Hide It? You just take a little paragraph, you can type it out in there, you can put it in, let me put this down, let me flip this over. You can put it in a grid box like this. If you don't know how to insert, the box or the text boxes, let me know. But basically, your mini book is just basically done on this size paper. You have a half inch, half inch, half inch, half inch, 2 columns with an inch in between. Here's a mistake that most people make. They do not know if it's a half inch here, it needs to be a half that makes 1 inch. So as it's printed and then gets folded like this. So now you have your little mini book. You will get Canva or Fiverr to create you a cute little cover. And you will then have your, a message from you. And then what's the process? My job is to help walk you through this process. Here's some places where stuff has been found that's been hidden and tucked away. And then here's some resources for you as well. All right, so you with me on that? All right, so you've gotten that done. And again, once you've got it all compiled and you need help formatting it, let me know. I've formatted and helped publish 6 of my daughter's books, so I know a few tricks. So once you've got that, you're creating, again, this mini book. Now, it can be, you can, depending on the copy machines that you have available to you, or you can take it to your nearest office supply, they can run it and actually have 1 or 2 staples in the middle, so it literally is a mini book. Now.
Could the print center also do something like that?
I bet they could. Yep. That's another good reason to come to Chantilly, at least for class sometime, is because the question was whether the print shop in Chantilly could print those for you. I'm guessing they could. So next time I'm up there, I'll ask. But yeah, if you've never been up there to go see the office, it's great. And stop in to say hi to the group, okay? All right, so we have gotten through all of that. We've gotten through that. We've gotten through the conversation. We've gotten through the documents and all the other things you need to be looking for of service providers. And now what do you do with it? Here we go. You got your mini book laid out, and actually on page 5, I've given you the margin settings for creating a mini book and what to do with it. And I got a little fun fact in there. So where did the term cold hard cash come from? Anybody know?
Probably put them in the refrigerator.
Yeah, a lot of it's believed because people would put money in the refrigerator or the freezer, okay? So that's why you never go in and throw everything out of the freezer. Actually, according to money.org, the term cold hard cash was coined by merchants and traders who were using and handling coins because it had a high gold or silver content in it. It was warm and soft and it didn't wear well. So it was later converted over and then used as cold hard cash. There you have it. So you learned something new, besides being put in the freezer. All right. So step number 4 in your, let me see if I got one more ready to go. There we go. So step number 4, you've gotten all that prelim stuff done. Your sphere of influence now is know who you are and what you're doing and one of your specialties. You'll become the talk of conversation at barbecues. Labor Day is coming up. Don't miss it. You've got your networking out to other businesses in town. So think with me for a second. The list of all those other businesses you've gone to, from the fire department to the pawn shops to the jewelry stores, to ask them if they do, if somebody was to pass, can they take a look at a pile of jewelry and say what's real and what's not? You've got your name out there a little bit. Do those people live in a house? They live somewhere. Is it possible that someday they may need to sell themselves? Yes. And when do people sell? When the home no longer meets their needs. So you have just now connected yourself with a whole new pool of people that know who you are now, know that you're doing something unique and different, that you're becoming the Uncola. So when their time comes, they may think of you. If you have stayed in touch with them on a regular basis with a free newsletter, with a free report, with a free something, with a pop by to say hi, just whatever it is. You nurture those contacts just as you would those in your sphere of influence. And if you've not taken Jumpstart Session 3 about the database, definitely need to go through that one, because we talk about how to categorize transaction partners and service providers in there. So you got that all prepped, you got that all ready. So now you're going, Lynn, so I got that, I'm good, but where does the attorneys come in? Here we go. I'm going to show you where to get them. So on page 5, step 4, research and email attorneys. You are going to find either A, through your sphere of influence, if they've mentioned that they know an attorney, you want to get a hold of them and introduce yourself. You can go through, there's several websites. You can Google attorneys in your specific area. Back in the olden days, you used to be able to go to a phone book. They're still around a little bit, so if you want to find one, you can get them out of there. But you want to create yourself an Excel spreadsheet with the attorney. It can be done, and I got a funny face over here. So Excel is really easy to use. We'll do a Zoom. I'll show you how to use it. It's real easy. So the attorney's name, obviously, if they have a specialty, if they have what their address is, what their email address is, blah, 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 blah. And usually you should be able to get most of that information. Here's the tricks to that. You will do an email out to all of them, providing you have their email addresses. But do not send it through KV Core or whatever platform you're using. It's more apt to get spammed or junked, okay? You do not want to send it through any database program. You want to send it directly from your email address, and do not BCC. You're going to do one at a time, okay? But once you do a drag and copy of the body of it and drop it in, you just got to go and add the new one, send it, copy it, add the address, send it. Click, 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 click. So do not BCC them. And also, if you're ever going to do, not necessarily for this one, but a batch of emails, most email platforms will block at 100. So you cannot send more than 100 BCCs in an email platform out. So just a little side note for you there. All right. So you're going to copy and paste the body of the email, so you don't have to retype it every time. Do not attach anything. No attachments to the email. Especially going to attorneys, it's going to flag, they're not going to open it. Do not blast them all from any CRM, even KV Core, or whatever platform you're using, do not blast them through that. You're going to send emails one at a time, and do not send to multiple attorneys at once with a bulk email in the BCC. You don't want to do that. So we just talked about those things. All right, so we're good so far? So the next step is, hopefully, it will entice them to either respond or to set up an appointment. Oh, but look, you're going, but Lynn, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, well, guess what? Page 6 has got it there for you. All right? See, I got you. I got you. In there is a sample of an email. You want to obviously use their name. Esquire, ESQ, stands for the fact that they do have a law degree. If it's a JD, JD stands for Juris Doctorate, or for a friend of mine who has one, he says it stands for Juvenile Delinquent. You'll meet him sometime. He's a hoot. You just read through that real quick. You know, I've been working with a lot of my clients in the real estate sales practice that need attorneys to handle matters such as divorce, estates, wills, trusts, tax, or even legal issues. And then it goes on to introduce yourself with why you want to connect with them. Now, granted, this is specifically for wills and trusts, and then we're going to talk about divorces in a second, but attorneys that work in criminal law as well, occasionally they have a client that needs to have a house sold. If they're getting sentenced to 59 to life for, I don't know, murder, you know, attempted murder on a police officer, whatever, yeah, that house is going to get sold real fast because that's where the attorney is going to be getting his money from. because more than likely that dirtbag doesn't have 2 dimes to put together, so that's where it's going to come from. So occasionally that can be another avenue as well. Just saying, that's a bonus. So ultimately what you're wanting to do is to be able to get the introduction out there and the intrigue of setting an appointment with them for you to come show them what you can offer to their clients. Okay, the Uncola, the mini book, where did grandma hide it? What are the resources they need to turn to? You are now providing something that 5 other agents who may have come and knocked on the door and said, hey, use me, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'll do a good job for you. No, you're bringing something unique and different to the table. But you're also going to approach it with, you know, people that have homes, and for many of them, they may need to discuss the benefit of a will or a trust, and that's that attorney's specialty. So you have no problem in referring your clients and those that are in your sphere of influence over to that attorney if they are looking for additional business. Show me an attorney that isn't. And I'll show you one that's ready to retire next week, okay? But you see where it's now you're offering them something, they're offering you something, it's reciprocal, okay? And you are bringing something to the table that is different from any other agent who may have knocked on their door and said, hey, you know, you got clients, I'll take care of them for you. No, you're coming in with something unique. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right. So the ideal situation is you want to set up a meeting, so it may require you to follow up. If you don't hear from the email, follow up with a phone call. You want to schedule an appointment to come in and see them. You want to show them what you are able to do to help their clients. It's not about you, because I hope nobody's in here as an attorney, are they? Okay, because most attorneys have a little bit of an ego, and little bit. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, okay, they have a little bit of an ego, and they want to feel that they're the end-all, be-all, do-all for their clients. So now you're coming in quietly on the side going, I have something that's going to make you look like a superstar to your clients. Now you have their undivided attention, and they are willing to sit down and listen. All right, so you will have one done up. You show them what it is. You don't leave it with them because you don't want them copying it. But you let them see that you have already done your homework. Now, if they are stupid enough, oops, I said that, yes I did. If they are stupid enough that they're not interested, that's fine. You are looking for the 1, 2, 3, or 4 that goes, oh my gosh, this is amazing, yes. Now, I would also encourage you, do not necessarily think you need to go to the big attorney firms. Find the little mom and pop shops, the single attorney that's behind their own door that specializes in this. 2 of them that I worked with in San Diego, they were a single little office, but OMG, I got plenty of business from them. All right, so you do not need to go to the big ones.
So do you look for estate attorneys?
Yes, okay. For this one that I'm building out, absolutely would look for estate attorneys, okay? Yeah, and what you're looking for too is, again, all you need to connect with is 2 or 3 of them. Now, you may have to talk to 10 of them, but all you're needing is that reciprocal relationship with 1 or 2 of them. Now, what I would encourage you to do as well, because again, we've got a platform here that's in several states. Regulations change from state to state. I would do a little bit of research in your state. What is the advantage or disadvantage of a will or a trust with someone who owns a home? So at least you've got a little bit of knowledge, because what you want to be able to ask that attorney is, if you are looking for additional business, I have people that have homes. Is it to their advantage to have it in a trust? Do they need to have a will? The attorney is going to tell you yes, one or the other, or both. So what I did at one point is I went to my 2 attorneys and said, okay, I'm going to promote you as my feature vendor of the month, Jumpstart session 3 and 4. And with that, would you be willing to offer, I don't know, you tell me, $200 off a will? being done or a trust package being done. They will tell you what amount they will go. Especially if you can find them running an ad somewhere else in another local platform where they'll offer $500 off or whatever, you take that in and ask if they would offer that same to you for you to market to your people that you know. And more than likely, they're going to say yes, because that means they're looking for additional business, which is great. You've got a captive audience because most of them already have a home. What is the advantage of someone with a home to have a will, or the advantage to have a trust? They're not having to pay any additional to have their marketing go back out again. So now you're the golden child and the key to open the door for their business as well. Now you got their attention even more. Following me? I'm seeing some heads nod. So, okay. Yeah, yeah. And so once they tell you yes, obviously you work out whatever coupon they want to use or whatever amount, and they can become your featured vendor of the month when you're spotlighting someone. And it can go to your newsletter, it can be whatever you're doing in your marketing, they can be the featured vendor for that month. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of heads going up and down, which is good because this, you know why you shake your heads this way? Good stuff. Okay, when it falls off, you can catch it. All right. And they laughed at my jokes. All right. All right, so this is what you're doing. You are building yourself as the Uncola. You are providing them value that somebody else isn't doing, but you get the results from it as well. Got it? Got it. All right. Let's move on to the next one. So, where did they hide it? Oh, look, on page 7, I have a few suggestions. In beds, mattresses, and inside pillows. Even inside a pillow. Can't tell you about that one. In walls. Yeah. Now, I don't suggest you go tear down walls just to find out where they put stuff, but if something's loose or ajar, you may want to look. Oh, the other one I don't think I have on this, air filters or wall filters. Mm-hmm. In sheds, in yards, under flower pots. If there's a patio bench or piano itself, there has been money put in envelopes and taped inside pianos. It has been under pianos, in the bench. Yeah, so if there's a piano or even a guitar, look. In attics, workshops, garages, toolboxes, and sewing boxes. Furniture, under dressers, drawers, cabinets, you name it. Books, especially Bibles. You almost have to turn them upside down and shake them. There have been some that have been found where the book, Grandma or Grandpa had opened the book, cut a hole, and stashed the money in there. I'll check that book out. Movies and music cases. A lot of times they're hidden in there. Behind photos or pictures on the wall. In clothes, shoes, purses, wallets, pockets, rolled up socks, you name it. There's always been money found in there. The kitchen and the freezer and food boxes, fake cans, wrapped in foil in the freezer, that's cold hard cash. Flooring under carpets, hidden compartments in floorboards, stairs. I mean, oh yeah. I went online and started searching, because I had my list of stuff that I've came across, but I started doing some additional searches on, oh, yeah.
Did you happen to see on the news recently where a lady bought some furniture from a secondhand store, and the pillows didn't feel right or sit right, and she opened them up, and there was packs of money.
Ooh, okay. For those online, a lady went to thrift store, found, bought some chairs. The cushion didn't feel right, was kind of funky, opened it up, there was money in there.
It would have never made the news if I found that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They gave her, I guess they located who the owners were, and the owners ended up giving her some money to buy her new.
Oh, yeah. So good things do happen when you were honest about that. That's excellent. But yeah, if you knew how much money and jewels and other stuff got pitched into the dump.
My mother bought a diamond for $1.50.
There you go, diamond for $1.50. It was a real diamond, not a summer diamond. Real diamond. Okay. All right. So when we talk about the estate side, let me share with you a couple stories. A couple of the ones that I experienced. You got to understand that not always the executor trustee that has been assigned to handle the estate and liquidate it down, a lot of times they don't even know they've been named the executor trustee until the person has passed away. Other times the families are fighting. This is where I say this is not for the faint at heart, because sometimes you're going back into a home where the death occurred, and if that is something that just gives you shivers up your spine, you just kind of need to know that. There are other times that you're going to get in the middle of family feuds. I say put your you-know-what shoes on, because it's game on. So be warned. All right. So I want to share with you a couple of the real-life examples. If this is a path that you want to go down, working with attorneys and finding, and again, you got to do some prep work, got to do some digging. You just got to find the ones that are willing to work with you, and it is a gold mine. But here's what I want you to take away. You will get into the middle of some family feuds. I'm hearing some giggles. Yeah. So one of them was, Mom liked you better. No, Dad didn't say that. Why are you the executor? And remember one, and I'm just going to make up names because these aren't their real names, but the attorney was through my attorney that I worked with. The one son lived locally. The other son lived in Texas. We were in California. The one son who was not the executor was not happy about it. And I quickly figured out why. I had been warned by the attorney, just so that I knew that this was kind of the family dynamics going on. And he was at the house when I went over to the house, and he was just throwing all of Mom's stuff in the bags that were going to go to, Goodwill or wherever they were going to go. So I caught the client, who was the executor, who technically I was working with and for, and I said, okay, Richard, do not let him throw those out. Because oftentimes, Mom or Dad will have had stuff stashed. Because they either, if they're old school enough, they didn't trust the banks, okay? Certain nationalities do not trust the banks, so they would have a lot of cash at the house. If there were illegal stuff going on, they didn't trust the banks, so the money would be kept at the house. And oftentimes when they got older, medications that they were potentially on would foggy them enough that they didn't remember where they put it, or they wanted to make sure that they had cash available because they knew that they couldn't go out and shop anymore. So if they needed to bring in the neighbor or a friend to go do an errand for them, they wanted to have the cash available to be able to pay them. So 9 times out of 9 times, there was money at the house somewhere, just determined, how much and what. So I warned Richard not to let the brother just haul everything out. He says, okay, thank you. And so I also gave him my little mini book of other places that money could be hidden. So fast forward a couple months, again, he was in Texas, so he came out once a month to work on the house and work on everything. I always knew when he was coming. We'd always kind of check in with him, make sure everything was good. What else did he need? What else, direction, what was he tackling next? That was when I learned about the fire extinguishers. And I proceeded to, guide him along. So a couple months down the road, I get a call from Margaret. He's back in town. I said, great, we'll meet over at the office, as we always did. He comes in, he sits down, he reaches into the briefcase, and he pulls out this wad of money and lays it on her desk and says, does it make any difference which account this goes into? She looks at it, looks at him, looks at it, looks at me. I'm smiling. Looks at it, goes, where did this come from? He goes, Lynn told me where to look for stuff around the house. This is what I found. I went, cool. I said, so, can I ask? How much is there? Almost $7,000. I turned to Margaret and I said, good, he's buying lunch, and we're not doing the 99-cent special, by the way. Because he always treated us to lunch when he was in town. And we all had a good giggle. But because I told him where to look, yeah. So needless to say, Margaret, if she hadn't already been glued to me, definitely was not going to consider going to anybody else. Yeah. Because it was through Margaret that she introduced me to him. So I'm a reflection of Margaret, and I'm the golden child because Margaret's the golden child. All right? And yes, he did buy lunch, by the way. So you get into those family-type crises. So you don't want to toss out stuff until you've checked it. Sometimes they walk in and they don't even know where to friggin' start. One case I had, she was from Michigan, lifelong friends from when they were little girls. The friend in San Diego passed away. She came out, she did not know she had been named the executor. Okay, so here she's grieving the loss of this lifelong friend, finding out she's now executor, going, what the heck do I do? It was a large house. Her husband had died, a couple years before. She hadn't cleaned out the husband's stuff. Now she's passed away, and the executor is going, I don't even know where to start. So in my little mini book I had for her, I said, I have been through this one time personally and professionally one too many times. We're going to go through this methodically, and we're going to walk you through doing it step by step. She's okay. Now, let me add the rest of the story to that one. When I met with her at the house, again, there was a lot of, these people had been in the house for 50 years. So she's, obviously distraught and upset. And it was late afternoon. And when she asked, she goes, well, how when do you have to put the house on the market? And I said, when you are ready. I said, this is a lot to undertake. We're going to walk through this methodically with you. And when we're ready is when we'll put it on the market. She started crying. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I just say? Well, then kind of, gave her a hug, got her Kleenex, wiped her tears, and she proceeds to share with me that morning, another agent that had been recommended by a neighbor had come in, walked in and said, so when are you going to get this shit cleaned up so I can get the house listed? I about wanted to pop a cork. I thought, who is that blank? Fill in the blank. And I said, oh, honey, no. And so, she's sobbing a little bit. She tells me that. I'm thinking, oh, no. She said, well, when do we have to listen? And that's when I said, no, when you're ready. We have a lot to go through. I'm going to walk you through this methodically. I'm going to get you through it. And then when it's ready is when we'll list it. I've got no time frame on this. And she kind of, sobbing a little bit more. And it broke my heart, let alone made me furious, that another agent would come in. Well, then I found out that other agent had been there first thing in the morning. Then she left and went to the funeral. And then I came in that late afternoon, early evening. So she had the day from hell. She did not need to have another agent tell her, when are you going to get this cleaned up so I can list the house. No, that is not how you handle it. So, yeah. Funny thing, she would never tell me what that agent's name was, because I wanted to know. So you're going to come across things like that as well. And so what I did in my little cheat sheet book was you go into a room and you take a box, and yes, I bought her a couple plastic totes. I said, anything in here that's of sentimental or personal value to you that you want to keep goes in the plastic box. You walk around the room methodically. Anything that you want to keep that's important to you or sentimental to you goes in the box. And then you go to the next room and you do the same thing. In the next room you do the same thing. When you've gone through the entire house, regardless of how many boxes you needed, you go back into the room one more time and ask yourself, is there anything else in here that I want to keep as a memory of that person? If you can say no, then you step out of the room and you're done. At that point, it's just, from there, it's just liquidating things that need to go in a particular way, all right? So I got her some totes. Again, she lives in another state. So got her some boxes, some plastic totes to put her little collectibles in. I said, well, we're about wrapping them and shipping them later, but we know that the plastic boxes do not go. Neon sign, keepsakes, went on it. I brought her a couple of boxes for legal papers. Again, anything that was in the drawers or in the cabinets or laying around that was legal papers went into the legal paper box. We would double check it. If there was anything that we were concerned with, it went to the attorney, and they say she'd be out here for 2 weeks and then back home for 2 weeks and then back out for 2 weeks. So it was several months of going through. But every time I knew she was coming out, she'd always let me know, and I was, okay, here's our next step. Here's our next step. Here's our next step. Here's our next step. And once we got the legal stuff, once we got any keys, because a safety deposit box that nobody knew about, keys to a lock box, that the fireproof box that you now found in the closet behind the shoes and the purses. So you're going through all this methodically, and then that is when you're able to bring in an estate liquidator to do either a estate liquidation right on the spot, or they're going to take it out and sell it from wherever they want to sell it from. Okay. Sometimes I've had people come in and say, you know what, this is like just a yard sale type stuff. Great, now you know. Others have come in and said, oh no, this is high-end auction stuff. You are not trained to know the difference from a $5 vase to a $500 vase. So, but having your resources that know, you become the golden child, being able to help guide them through that process, and you are golden in the eyes of that attorney as well, because your job is to help make that attorney look good as well. So you see where this all ties in and connects? Okay. All right, so another great story time is, this is one of my favorites, client, friend of ours, we knew Karen. She wasn't a Karen, her name was Karen. Just make sure we're clear on that. Karen had known the family since we were all kids. Her husband's mother passed away, and I saw the will, saw the paperwork, so I knew he had the legal right to sell the property. So we're starting the process on it, and I go over one night to do some paperwork, and he's in tears. And I asked what was wrong, and he said nothing. And I said, excuse me, you're not in tears over nothing, what's going on? Well, then I got told that his brother was being a first-class you-know-what. Well, why is he making all these decisions? What right does he have? Blah, 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 blah. I turned to both of them and I said, name and phone number. I said, I'll call him. And Rich was a little hesitant at first, and I said, phone number. And Karen goes, I've never seen that look on her face before. You better give her the number. So I got the number, and I said, I'll place the call into him later. He'll be excited to hear from me. And they're going, what are you going to say? I said, I'll take care of your brother. So Mama Bear kicked in. Yes, it's business, but when it's people Mama Bear kicks in. It's like, don't be an idiot. So got them settled down, got the paperwork signed that we needed to, went on my merry way. I called him, the brother, and he started in on me. And I said, time out. I said, I don't know who is filling you with this incorrect information, but let me state a couple of facts for you. First off, Mrs. Richardson has made her wishes extremely clear. I's are dotted, T's are crossed. I've seen the will. The attorney has, give it the thumbs up, okay? Your brother is doing nothing more than what the court is obligated him to do, and that is to execute that will to the letter of the law based off Mrs. Richards' wishes and request. So I don't know who's filling you full of what, but he ain't doing nothing. He is doing what the court has ordered him to do. And he went, oh, but I said, no buts. He settled down. And I said, look, if you have a problem, he started in one more time, and I said, look, you have a problem or an issue with this, may I suggest you go take it up with Mrs. Richardson, your mother, because I think you know where she's at. Boom! Yeah, Mama Bear came out. Mama Bear came out. But those are the type of things that will pop up on occasion, and you better be prepared to have the backbone to put them in check. Because he had no right mouthing off to his brother in that way. His brother was distraught enough. He was just being an idiot, and I told him so, kind of. And then I said, I said, are we crystal clear? Yes, ma'am. I said, all right. By the way, you owe your brother an apology. I said, your brother cared for your mother? I don't know where you were at. I don't need to know. Okay. He cared for her. He took care of her. He was there at the end. He took care of the arrangements. He made sure that she was laid to rest based off her request. He is doing nothing but following through with her wishes. You owe him an apology. I would suggest you let him know. okay. Anything else? Good. Bye. Hung up. So a couple days later, I had to go back to my clients. Walk in. Richard goes, got a call from my brother. I said, oh, really? What did he have to say? And he kind of chuckled. He goes, what did you say to him? I said, nothing. I just set him straight on a few things. And they were giggling. And Karen goes, oh, my God, I'd have paid to see that.
That was a big help to them.
Yeah.
Big
And he
help.
says, I said, well, what else did he have to say? She goes, well, he did apologize. I said, good. Then he got my message. And I never told him exactly what I said. And if the brother wanted to tell him, that was fine. But it settled it. But what I share that with you because I want you to understand if you're going to go in and do some of these things, those are some of the issues that may pop up. And you need to be able to be firm enough with a backbone enough and put your shoes on if you need to stand up to the bickering and the family and going, time out. My job is to represent the equity of the house. My job is to make sure that everything is executed out. So I don't care he said, she said, who said, what said. Okay, we are doing this according to the letter of the law. So shut up and get out of my face. Okay. So again, any time I ever was working on behalf of the attorney and anything like that would come up, I would immediately let the attorney know as well. Just in case anything got said back to them, I wanted them to know up front immediately from me what the issue was and how it was resolved. And they appreciated it. Okay? So those are some of the can't make this up moments and can't make that up story. Who's making the decisions? Where do I start? Look what I found. Oh, one other fun one. This is a personal one. So how are we on time?
123.
Okay, we're good. I'll wrap this up real quick. Years ago, my mother-in-law had an abdominal aorta aneurysm that ballooned. They got her to the hospital. She survived surgery, which was a miracle in itself. But I knew that she had money at the house. And so here she is in intensive care, coming out of the anesthesia, has got the oxygen on. And I said, Mom, is there still money at the house? Mm-hmm. Where is it at? And what I was able to get was bedroom. It's like, okay, there's 2 bedrooms. Which bedroom? Yours or the other one? And I got the other one. So I got the nod. So I'm narrowing it down, process of elimination. And I said, okay, we'll go look for it. So we go to the house, and we're looking in all the usual spots of where it would be. Can't find it. Can't find it. So next trip back to the hospital, she's still kind of in the loopy zone. I said, all right, we went to the house to get the money, to put it in the bank for safety. I looked here, I looked here, I looked here, I looked here. Where is it? And she was able to get out was dresser. I says, on top of the dresser, in the dresser, under the dresser. I'm going, okay. So on the way home from the hospital, we go back to the house. There were 2 dressers. I'm feeling underneath them, not finding anything. I now am on the floor, on my stomach, with my arm, feeling underneath the dresser. And I yelled at my husband and my daughter, found it. And they come back down the hall and they go, wait a minute, where are you? I said, I'm in the bedroom. Well, which one? The guest bedroom. Well, where are you? I'm on the floor. So there was a good giggle, and my arm is stuck back like this, but I found the box. So I was able to pull it out, and we're able to, and now, again, we're talking this much space between the bed and the wall. I'm face first. So I had to wiggle back, don't ask, okay? Finally got it out, and it was like, how in the heck did she even get it down there? So we had a good laugh over it. We got the money put in the bank so it was safe, but that's where it was. And if I hadn't of process of elimination and started asking, nobody would have found it, even the robber. So look at all the crazy places because it's out there. All right, so those are some of that is the basic details of working with the wills and the trusts. It goes on nonstop, year in, year out. It is recession proof. Again, it's going to take you a little bit of work up front. It's going to take you probably a month or 2 to develop it out. But in the same token, it is well worth it. I had a couple of All I needed was a couple of attorneys because they were handing me enough stuff that I didn't need to go after more. All right? So keep that in mind. I know we're going to get pressed on time, so I just want to hit real quick a little bit about dealing with the divorce. We've already talked about our stories. Here's one thing that I want to make sure that you know. Every state, every area has different regulations on how things need to get signed. If you are dealing with someone with a will or a trust, you will need to let whoever's claiming to be the executor trustee make sure they are. Because sometimes another sibling will say they are and list the house, only to find out that they're not only not the executor trustee, but they have no right to list the house. Then it gets into an ugly mess. But if you're going to be going down this route, whatever your situation is, make sure that as you get their documentation or their first consultation with them, you need a copy of the will of the trust. You need to find out who the attorney is that, if they need to be involved in it. You obviously will need a death certificate at some point, but immediately go to Cardinal Title. There's a whole bunch of good attorneys there, and have them double check the paperwork that you have to make sure that the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and it's ready to move forward. The last thing you want to have happen is to get halfway through it and find out that there's a glitch or a problem or something. So have it checked up front to make sure that it's legal, legit, and ready to go. Now, when you talk to them, ask them how the paperwork needs to be signed. When it is an executor trustee, again, remember, different states, different rules, different regulations, so ask. It may say something of, Jane Doe, executor trustee for the James Smith Trust. Yes, it's about this long. And when I would find out from the attorney or my title company or the escrow company how the documents needed to be signed, I would actually type it out, and I'd have my little cheat sheet. So every time my client sat down to have to sign, and I knew it had to be verbatim, we had the little cheat sheet that they could use. Because it has to be exactly legally how it needs to go on all documents. Sorry, you cannot go back and just signing your name and then later come back and try to sign it for the trust. All right, so ask from the very beginning. And I know that Cardinal has a massive array of qualified, brilliant attorneys that can guide you regardless of what state you're in. So be sure to ask. Yes?
So you're saying that you should ask the client for a copy of the will?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because has it happened that she listed the property, she contacted me and listed the property, only to come to find out that you're the executor trustee and she had no right to do it? Yes, it has happened. Okay? Not in my scenario, because I always ask for a copy of everything. Yes?
If you have an executor letter, you should want to ask for the will?
But go to your title and ask what they need. And 99.999% of the time, even with the power of attorney, they will still need a copy of the will, a copy of the trust, a copy of the whatever. Okay? So ask up front as you're just getting in the initial consultation, getting it started. Okay? Good. A lot of times there isn't, which means it may have to go through a court probate, which can turn out, to be a long, drawn-out mess as well. I'm gonna step back on that one because, again, every state is different with rules and regulations. I would go to the attorney at Cardinal right up front and say, this is what the situation is. What is the best advice from a legal standpoint? Okay, good question, though. All right, good. All right, so let's wrap up real quick. I want to hit a couple quick things on dealing with divorces. Whew, those are crazy. So your role, if you're going to be dealing with a divorced couple, is to represent the house. Not the he said, she said, who said, I don't care who said what, okay? I would tell them that my job was to represent the house and the equity of the house. I don't want to get into he said, she said, and if you start that, it's $300 an hour you bill me, you pay me, all right? You're not there as their counselor. Again, similar to the estate, you would do the search, they're laughing at me, you would do the search of attorneys that deal with divorces. You would do the same similar letter or email to them. You would also let them know what, you understand your role is to represent the equity in the property. and to help them through that. If there's one attorney, great. If there's two attorneys, then you got to be up on with both of them. Some interesting stats, and I know we're pressed on time, so I'll just hit a couple of them real fast, is seasonal spike in filing divorces is January to March. There is approximately 1.2 million divorces each year. 61% of couples have homes that need to be split in a divorce. That's an estimated 750,000 listings a year that come from divorces. 3.6% in your town divorce every year. 40 to 50% of the first-time marriages fail, 67% of second marriages fail, and 75% of third marriages fail. Yeah. Yeah. 75% are more likely to file for a divorce if they know someone else that has just filed for divorce. The old saying, birds of a feather flock together. So there you have it. All right, so again, you're looking to work with attorneys that are dealing with divorce situations. Here are some horror stories you need to be aware of. Obviously, you don't get into the he said, she said, who said, what said. I don't want to know, I don't care. You want to provide them what are their options. Now, their options are one can buy one out, one can buy the other one out, or they split it, they both sell and they both go. Now, sometimes it's one sale and one or two buys. Okay? Sometimes it's later down the road you'll get it. But here's the one, two things I want to make sure that you are aware of in dealing with this. You want to make sure that the document you take to the one party is not left with them to sign it. You will meet with them, they will sign it, you will take it back and take it to the other party, and then if information is being dispensed out, it goes to both parties and the attorneys involved all at the same time. It's not you get it first and then I email it to you and then I email it to you and then I email it to you. It all goes out to everybody at once. That way you're a neutral, third party, involved in protecting the equity of the house. The reason you do not leave documents with one or the other, I got a call from my favorite attorney I was working with one time, and she asked if I had left by chance documents with him to sign, and I said, nope, because I don't trust him. She said, good girl. She had shared enough that I knew. So I said, he signed them, I took them, went on. She said, great. And I said, okay, so do tell. Apparently, he had gotten something with her signature on it and proceeded to forge some notes saying that he had been paying her the $200 a month to help with the kids' support in the time of the divorce until the decree came out. She hadn't signed him. She didn't get the money. Okay? But then, oh, this one even got better. He was stupid enough at some point to hire a friend or somebody to, last time he was in the house, he stole the extra set of keys to her truck that she had just bought after the divorce, or in the process of. It was her pride and joy. And he knew where she worked, knew what shift she worked, stole the extra set of keys from the house, was going to pay his buddy or whomever $2,500 to go on her birthday to go steal the truck out of the parking lot at work. Okay? And how did that one get busted? They let him do it because they wanted to bust him with it in hand. Okay? The person that was sitting behind them as they were discussing this plan was her girlfriend in the booth at the restaurant right behind him. Okay? The booth was high enough, they couldn't see each other, but she could hear. She knew exactly who it was and what was going on. So she told her friend, the friend tells the attorney got the police involved and said, you know what, we're going to let him do it. He's got a key. So they got him red-handed with a stolen vehicle. Boom! Yeah, okay, so that was a why one. So you never leave paperwork with one to the other to sign. Who signed? Yeah. That's an electronic signature and more difficult for the other person to forge any document. And again, they could be forging a note that says, I gave you money. They could be forging paperwork on a car loan, our title. So, yeah, so you got to play devil's advocate. The last horror story that I want to share with you on this as we wind down is they were obviously getting a divorce. It was a fairly decent house, but she was very bitter, very angry, and very vindictive. And so she was fighting everything I mean, just fighting. And finally, the attorney had given me permission to be blunt and honest with her. So we sat down. He wasn't there. It was just her. And I said, can we talk? She goes, yeah. I said, good. I took my name badge off, upside down, popped it on the table. Now, I didn't delicately lay it down, but I didn't slam it either. But she knew it was going down. And I says, can we talk, girlfriend? She goes, yeah. I said, all right, this is woman to woman. I said, I get it, you're hurt. I get it, you're mad. I get it, you're vindictive and angry and hurt and upset and all that stuff, and that your world is falling apart. My job is to help protect the equity in this house. Who is going to get the equity once we sell it? You're getting part of it, and he's getting part of it. My concern is the vindictive bickering. By the time you guys are done, you ain't going to have a dime left over. Because every time this starts going back and forth and the attorneys get involved, they both are charging you, what, $300 for a 15-minute intervene? They're the ones that are going to win. I said, that concerns me. I get it, you're hurt. But this is, you're biting your nose off to spite your face. So give some thought into it. It's already been decided. You just need to agree that it's okay. Let it be, but then be able to have that money to go start a new chapter of life with whatever it is that you want to do. Because it ain't going to fix this. And the more he sees you getting nasty and vindictive, the more he's thinking to himself, I'm glad I'm out of this. So that was between you and me, girlfriend. That wasn't your realtor talking to you. And she started crying and thanked me and agreed that, yeah, enough was enough. So they finally got it settled. But again, my job in the divorce was to make sure the equity of the house was being protected and that they were not slitting each other's throat just out of being vindictive. Okay, so that pretty much is the highlight of doing it. Let me hit back because I know we already went through this. Who do you know? We went through all this. Boom, 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 boom. I even gave you what to say to the messages. We got the samples in there for you. Got some interesting stats for you. They're all in your handouts. There we go. I should have clicked this as we were going along. And again, what you're working to develop with the attorney is a business-to-business relationship. Again, your job is to help protect. This is not for the faint of heart. It is a great resource for trickle-down business coming your direction. It does take some front work, loading it up and getting it ready to go, but it will sustain and last as you move forward, okay? I know we're out of time. Remember, I don't care what you know. I want to know what you're doing with what you know. So again, thank you to Cardinal and all of you who have joined us live, as well as those that are on streaming. Go back and listen to this again. It'll be up for a couple of days. I will be re-recording it out of the studio coming up, so it'll be in the Cardinal Nest around the bend, but it'll be up for a couple of days. If there's any questions, feel free to email me at lhamilton@samsonproperties.net, and I'll be happy to share and help guide you through this. Again, Recession-Proof Marketing 101. I'm open for questions. Thank you. This class that we just did will be uploaded in the Cardinal Nest. It'll be on the dashboard for a couple of days, and then they will take it down from what I understand, and then the new recording will go up around the bend. So catch it while it's still live on the Nest.
Oh, okay. And so when will these be on the net? Is it there now?
Yes, I'm being told by my guru in the back who handles all things in the magic wand. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Thank you. Any other questions?
No, not a
Oh.
question. It's just more like my aha moment.
Aha moment. Share with me your aha moments.
Because I'm working with someone currently right now that they put their mom in a home
Yeah.
because of dementia.
Got it.
Now the two sisters have to go through the home to take care of stuff, and their schedules per se is a problem too because of how they work. But just the thought of some of this stuff and what you said, what I can present to them,
Yep.
what we can do, because the home has a lot of stuff that.
Correct.
But they're at the point they were going to sell it, but mom wants
Correct. Yeah, and that is very common when mom or dad or whoever gets elderly or dementia, they think they want to go back home, but the same thing is we know they can't. So you find out what mom wants to have with her wherever she's at of her personal belongings that make her feel like she's at home. Okay, so they say surround them with the stuff that would make them think that they're still in their home. Okay, that's a good point.
Perfect, because I said I'm gonna help them with trying to get rid of stuff.
Yep.
Or get clear stuff out. Of this.
Yeah. Methodical, room by room, just work their way around, have them pull the stuff they know they want for sentimental, and then methodically go through everything else. And again, you've got some great resources. Any questions that pop up, feel free to reach out to me. Okay? Any other ahas, takeaways?